Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Adria Coral. I believe this one is a 572 if I'm not mistaken. 572, yes. Alright, so based on the Fiat Ducato, and we'll start under the bonnet here on the left hand side. You've got your engine battery, brake fluid, power steering fluid and your engine oil. The engine oil dipstick is the red topped one just down there. And over on the right, we've got your engine coolant, air filter, and washer fluid. The chassis plates for this vehicle are just down here, and the one that you actually want to go off is this Adria one here. Only other thing is, you've got Fiat 249 is the white colour throughout the vehicle. So if you ever needed any touch-up paints or anything, Fiat 249. Your diesel filling point is just behind this little cover here on the near side front, and you will need your ignition key to get that open. The next locker here on the outside is your gas locker. So to turn the gas on and off, you go anti-clockwise around to the left to turn it on, and clockwise around to the right to turn it off. You have to make sure that you turn these gas bottles off before you start driving, and make sure that they're not going to fly around when you're moving as well. These two vents just here are both to do with your fridge. So if you did have the fridge lit up on gas, you would be able to feel warm air coming out through this top right hand side. We've then got the vent for the boiler next door to that. So because I've got this lit up on gas at the moment, I can feel hot air coming out the bottom of this. Down here on the rear near side, you've got your wastewater drain off point. So you've got the actual drain off handle and where it comes out from just there. You have on this particular model got this huge garage door here, which does give you access to the bunk bed, or gives you the option to lift the bunk bed up out of the way to give you a huge garage in here as well. So you got your ladder on the back and the two bike rack with the relevant parts, and your reversing camera up there as well. So you've then got the toilet cassette locker at the back on the off side here. So to actually take the cassette out, you lift up on the little yellow tab and then pull the cassette towards you. You will then be able to take the entire thing out. Once you've got this out, you empty it out from here. And as you're emptying it out, you should be holding down the little yellow button just there. So I'll go through the inside in just a minute, but I will just carry on showing you the last little bits and pieces on the outside. So you've got your awning up there on the offside as well, and your electric hookup point, which is new. And the last thing to show you on the outside here is your freshwater filling point. So if you wanted to fill up the fresh tank, you go from there. Okay, so in the cab, relatively straightforward on these particular age of vehicle. So you've got the hazard warning lights just there from the middle on the red switch. You've got a single DIN head unit up there, Blaupunk one. Whether or not that's the original one, I'm not sure. I don't think it is, but I'm sure it all works. Then got all of your heater controls down underneath there. So you've got your temperature in the middle, fan speed and fan adjustment. You've got the 5-speed manual gearbox, and to select reverse, we lift up on the back of here and push over to the top left hand side, and that'll get us into reverse. We've got the lights and indicators from the left hand stalk here, and your washers and wipers on the right. The reversing camera comes up nicely on this Camos screen just here on the right hand side as soon as you select reverse, and then obviously switches itself off when you take it out. You've got a cup holder just there from the middle, and the only other bits that I will run you through briefly is, so you've got the OBD reader cover is just there. So if you ever need a, if you had a warning light come up on the dash or something, you've got a little reader point just inside there. You've got your main fuses and relays section just there behind those two screws. The bonnet release handle is just down here above the clutch pedal, and the steering column adjustment is the one just to the right of that. Okay, so Just going to get out and jump into the inside now. The van's just been cleaned on the inside, so I'm going to try my best to keep it tidy, otherwise I'll get shouted at. Right, so we've got the main control panel up here above the door, so nicely sort of Adria branded. It won't be made by Adria, it's probably made by CVE or someone like that, but it's very, very straightforward, really nicely, easily laid out. So what you've got is a main on and off switch here for all of the 12 volt appliances. So 12 volt in a motorhome is basically turning on the power from the leisure battery, turning on the power that requires 12 volts. So the lights, that'd be ignitions, any sort of 12 volt appliances like this one here, your TV aerial booster, they all need the 12 volt power to be switched on. So that's when you get this little green light come on. To the left of that, you've then got your battery tester. So if I press up, it shows us the battery voltage in the engine battery. And if I press down, it shows us the leisure battery voltage as well. So both engine and leisure are both at full power at the moment. And I don't have the hookup cable plugged in at all, so there's no charger on it. So those batteries are very, very good and in good condition. If we had the hookup cable plugged in, we'd have this little green light here lit up, and that would basically just be telling us that the hookup is in and working. Over to the right, we've then got your fresh and waste water levels. So if I press up, that's telling us we've got half a tank of fresh water. And if I press down, it's telling us that the waste tank is empty. And the last switch is the water pump switch. So if I press this on, that is now giving the water pump power. I believe in this particular vehicle, the pump is a submersible pump, which means it sits inside the water tank. The water tank will be over here underneath this seat, I believe, because of where the actual inlet is on the outside. So if you ever needed to get to the drain for the water, for the fresh water, I can imagine it'll be just down there under that seat. So with the pump switched on, and we know that we've got some fresh water in the tank because I can see that there, the next thing I can do is come over to the tap and just make sure that the water comes through on the hot and cold side. So if we go over to the right for cold, so we've got water coming through on the cold side, and I just need to make sure that we've got some water in the boiler by drawing it through on the hot side. There you go, so it's just getting rid of some air. So I'll just leave that to do its thing for a minute, just so it can start to fill the boiler up. And whilst it's doing that, I will just explain. So the reason that we're doing this at the moment is if we want to light the boiler up and get hot water, then it's really important that you actually make sure the boiler has water inside of it. And this is the only way to actually do that. So make sure you got water in the tank and turn your pump on like we did just then. And then come over to the tap and do exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm just drawing the water through on the hot side. No water's coming through at the moment, and that's because the boiler isn't full yet. So we'll just leave this to do its thing just for a minute. So in the same breath as that, we've got down here the actual boiler itself. So the boiler has this little drain on it here. So this little red pulley, where it is at the moment in the upright position is where it needs to be in order to accept water. If I push that down now, all the water that's being put into the boiler at the moment will drain itself out onto the floor. Okay, so if you wanted to drain the boiler out in the winter time, that's where you have to do that from. It will also drain it out for you automatically if it thinks it needs to. So it's always worth checking that this is in the upright position like it is now before you start trying to draw the water through, because you know if it's down, then basically it will never ever fill up. It will just keep pouring out onto the floor. Just whilst we're in this little cupboard here, we have also got the gas isolators here as well. And so if you ever needed to isolate the gas from any specific appliances, you can do that from there. Okay, good timing. So the water's just starting to come through properly now. So as you can see there now, we've actually got some decent pressure coming through on the hot side. So I'm going to turn that off now. So doing that, like I said, that is the only way to actually tell if your boiler is full. So when I lifted the tap up just then on the hot side at first, as you probably remember, there was no water coming through at all, and it was just sort of coughing and spluttering at me. all it means is the boiler isn't quite full yet. So that's exactly what I've just done there. It's all you have to do. Just lift the tap up and wait for it to start coming through like that. All right. Once you've done that, you can know for an absolute fact that the boiler's full of water, and you can go ahead and use the boiler controls, you know, however you want to for the hot water. All right. But that's really important. If you do light the boiler up on the hot water and there's no water inside of it, it will just overheat, and you know, you're going to run into some serious issues. So it's really important. I mean, the boiler's the most expensive part of this whole van, so it's really important to look after it as best you can. So just doing that before you actually light it up on gas for the hot water, just double check it like that. We've then got your 3-burner hob just here. You will need an igniter of some description to light any 3 of these up, because there isn't an igniter on them at all. It's just the way some of these are made. We've then got your boiler controller. So you can see at the moment we've got a green light inside the boiler control, and we're down here on this little gas symbol. So the little gas symbol means heating. All right, so that means that at the moment I've got the boiler set to heating only. All right, so this is a gas only boiler. So if I'm set to heating only, absolutely nothing's going to happen apart from hot air is going to pump through these little vents that are sort of situated around the vehicle. Okay, if I wanted hot water and heating at the same time, like I might do today, I mean, it's chucking it down with rain, and it's freezing cold, so I would go down all the way to the bottom, and that'll give us heating and hot water at 60 degrees. So you then, when you go down to hot water, you then get a little amber light inside there, meaning that the water is being heated up. So now the hot air is still pumping out through the vents at the bottom, but the boiler is also heating up the 10 litres of water that's inside of it that we've just put in. Okay, so all the way down to the bottom, as I said, is hot water and heating. Heating only is 1 down, and then the 2 at the top are hot water only, so no heating at all, just hot water. All right, so if we did go up to the top here, we would still have the amber light on, but as I said a minute ago, if we're on heating only, the amber light won't be on because there's no water being heated up. All right, so I'm just going to leave that there on heating and hot water for a little minute, just so that we can see the water heating up and that working nicely. So nothing to show in there. So you have got a mains power socket just here underneath the cooker, and I believe there is one other one somewhere else as well. They don't tend to put many sockets in these things, but you've got another one just there. So these 3-point sockets here will only work if the hookup is plugged in. All right, so you can't get 240 volt power without the hookup plugged in, unless you have an inverter, but I don't recommend those anyway. So there's your main sockets. So the next thing I'm going to show you is your fridge. So this is a Dometic 3-way fridge. As you can probably imagine, it works 3 different ways, hence the name 3-way fridge. So the way that these work is you've got gas, you've got 240 volt, it says 230, but it's the same thing really, and 12 volt. Okay, so at the moment I don't have the hookup plugged in, but I do have the gas switched on. So the only way I can use the fridge right now is on gas. So all you have to do to light it up on gas, turn the little switch once to the right, and it lights up. You probably didn't hear it on the video, but I could hear it in person. You can hear the igniter going, and when the igniter stops, that means the ignition, it's lit the gas up. If you start to get a flashing amber light in there, all it means is that the gas hasn't quite lit up. So first thing to check, make sure you've got gas in the bottle and that it's switched on. Make sure that your gas isolator for the fridge, which is the middle one there, is left as it is now, and then try it again. So that is how you use the fridge on the gas there. It will take about 2 or 3 hours to actually get cold, and the same goes for the next one down, which is the mains hookup. Will still take about 2 or 3 hours to get cold. So if you're on the mains, you can select 230 volt there. The last one, the 12 volt one here, will only work when your engine is running and it is only really to keep the temperature inside the fridge as you drive. So really the idea is to get the fridge cold either on the gas or the mains before you leave, and then just switch over to 12 volt whilst you drive. Now the reason for that is, the reason that you can only use a 12 volt as you drive is that you've got something what's called a split charger or a split relay. And what a split relay does is it essentially takes some power from the alternator under the bonnet, sends some of it back to the leisure battery so that your leisure battery is being charged up whilst you drive, and it also sends a signal wire back here to the fridge so that you can keep the fridge cold as you drive via the engine. The reason that you need that as well is that obviously you can't have the gas switched on when you drive, or you shouldn't, and you obviously can't have a hookup cable plugged in as you drive, because that'll make a righteous mess. So the only way to keep it cold whilst you drive is 12 volt. When you get to where you're going, you just switch back to one of the other two, gas or the mains, and then leave it as it is, and that's it. Okay, so the layout of this particular vehicle is quite handy actually. It's a nice big, well, it's a short vehicle, but it's also 6 berths, so it's really, really good. So you've got this huge overcab bed up here with the ladder at the back there to help you get up. And I will say the mattress that's in here would not have been cheap. They are so expensive to buy for the motorhomes, it's unbelievable. So that is a really nice thing to have up there. You might not have sort of realised that before, but there you go. So you have also got the seat belts here on the rear facing seats and the over the shoulder belts for the forward facing seats. These two seats do make up into a big double bed here as well, using the table as the piece that joins up the middle. So you basically drop the table down and then pull the back seats, the backrests down, and meet them in the middle, and makes your big double bed there. You've then also got the bunk beds at the back. As I said before, you can lift up this bottom bunk and leave it completely stowed away so that you can use this as a huge garage instead. But if you do need the 6 berth, you can leave it obviously as it is as well. So you've got some bits and pieces that the previous owner has left for you in there as well. All of the paperwork for the vehicle is inside this brown folder there, and your awning winder is this metal pole in the cupboard there. Just notice as well you've got another main socket inside there. So towards the back then we've got the bathroom here. Bathroom's in really nice condition. I don't really tend to run through much in the bathrooms because it's literally, you know, the same sort of tap as in the bathroom there, in the kitchen, sorry, not the bathroom. Just left and right for hot and cold. Same goes for the sink as well, to be honest. You've got a light switch up here at the top for the lights in the bathroom. The only thing I tend to run through in the bathrooms is the toilets, because not everyone's used one of these before. So the way that they work, very, very simple. You've got a handle down here, grey handle, which opens this flap in the middle here. All right, and what that does is it allows whatever's in this bowl here to drop into the cassette. All right, so you've got your pump switch at the back here, which is for the flush, and the drain off point just there. So you do need to make sure that you push that flap back where it was, otherwise you will not be able to take the cassette out from outside because it will be locked in position. Okay, so that is the bathroom. So I think I've run through all the appliances and things. So what I'm going to do now is just I'm going to run you through what you might do if you were sort of packing the van up, getting ready to leave and drive off. So first things I would do is just go around and make sure that all of your gas appliances, or you know, any of your appliances, are switched off. All right, so for the boiler, we go back to the middle here and make sure that both the lights go out, which they have done. So the boiler is now completely off. I'm then checking the fridge, making sure that's in the off position, or if you're going to be driving away and you need to keep the fridge cold, I would now be selecting 12 volt. Okay, so now when you start the engine up, the fridge will start cooling down or keeping cold as you drive. Make sure that all of your this bit sort of slots in just here, a little bit fiddly with one hand. There you go. Make sure that all of these bits and pieces are stowed away nicely. Make sure that all of your windows are completely closed up over the second seal, not just the first one. Make sure all of your cupboards are locked like that. So that one was like this, so that when you start driving now, if you left it like that, it would just flap around like that. And I promise you that is very, very annoying if you're anything like me. So making sure all of your cupboards are locked like that. Make sure that all of your skylights are down as well, because it's really, again, there's another thing that will make a lot of noise as you drive if they're not down properly. And yeah, I mean, make sure your gas is switched off in the cupboard, as I said before. Otherwise, that's about it, really. So it's been a bit of a shorter video today, mainly just due to the fact that I did go around the outside reasonably quickly because it is chucking it down with rain. But I think I've covered everything, and if there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you're not sure about, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.